Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Sunday, February 6th, 2022, and the sun is in Aquarius, as is the planet Saturn. Aquarius is ruled traditionally by Saturn and less traditionally by Uranus, but definitely with Saturn's influence hanging out in Aquarius for another year or so. It's more largely ruled by Saturn. The difference between Saturn's influence on Capricorn and Saturn's influence on Aquarius is that Capricorn really takes that sense of duty and responsibility to strengthen structures in an earthen, initiative way that says, okay, let's just put our nose down and do the work, and good benefits will arise out of that. And it's true. Aquarius, however, is a fixed air sign, and it's really more intellectual. It's really more big picture, and it's thinking about those that structural integrity and that sense of duty in a more I want to say like revolutionary way. So it still sees the importance of structure and solid foundations and following our sense of duty, but the sense of duty actually brings us into a mode of asking what can be shifted or changed in our foundations in order to better support the larger community of people. And, so Aquarius wants to make progress. Saturn wants to make sure of our stability. And we may have to, at this time, let go of some of our sense of control in order to gain the fresh forward motion that we're seeking here. The moon begins today in Aries and will move into Taurus later this afternoon. This represents a shift in the heart and home from sort of forward initiative, active vibes, action-oriented vibes, things that go fast, things that speed things up, into a more Taurus feeling, earthbound, dig your toes into the soil, stop and smell the roses sort of vibration. So this is going to be a couple of days of sort of resting and relaxing before we get back into our sense of initiative. And the waxing crescent phase of this moon advises us to remain in the planning phase. We are imagining what it will be like when the goals and intentions we have set have been fulfilled. So, what is our life going to be like after that intention we set at the new moon gets some sort of short-term goal or long-term met around the full moon? And planning brings us in a couple of days on Tuesday to that first quarter moon, where we will begin to do the work that enacts the plan. So it's all right with, the moon in Taurus, after all the initiative we've taken under Aries, to sort of sit back, get comfortable, and think about, give thought to what the forward motion is going to bring about for us. Okay, let's look at the planets that are on the page today, and then we'll get into the aspects. The sun is at the top of the list, and the sun represents the outer life. This is who we are when we step out the door, the person that people first get to know when they meet us, and who we are in our work life, our social life, and our civic life out in the world. Following the sun is always the moon. The moon represents the inner life. This is more about your relationship with yourself, how you feel in your body, and also those things you think, feel, know, and intuit on the inside, the stuff that is hidden from the rest of the world, as well as who you are in your home space with the people who are there with you and where that happens to be. Mercury is on the page today. Mercury represents the personal intellect, so especially your day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications, the running around that you do. Mars represents your personal sense of initiative, whatever that fire is that fire is in your gut that gets you moving forward. Chiron is not a planet but an asteroid, and it represents your capacity to heal, especially and also what it is that you're working on healing in this lifetime. Saturn is on the page. I mean, really just in Aquarius here, but it is having an impact on a lot of things that we're dealing with right now. And Saturn again relates to our personal sense and our collective sense of structural integrity, firm foundations, and our duties, our responsibilities to maintain and strengthen those structures and networks. Uranus down here comes around and asks us to do things differently, and so brings with it sometimes some change. And Pluto is a planet who brings us through transformations, especially collectively. We go through these highs and lows of experience that bring us through, bring us out of what we used to be and into what we're going to be. So in that way, we're transformed. We get to evolve and grow up a little bit. Okay, so the page is divided into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our inner lives. That's your relationship with your body and with yourself, what you think, feel, know, and intuit. And these aspects and transits are really brief, and they have more to do with ambient energies that might affect your mood or the intuitions that you have. The sun side of the page, the sun sheds light on our outer life. That's our work life, social life, civic life. And I address the sun and the rest of the planet's aspects on this side because they have more to do with what's going on in our outer life, how we behave out there, and they take longer than these lunar aspects. And we start with the moon today, Central Standard Time, friends, at 6:42 in the morning. The moon makes a square with Mercury. So, moon in aspect with Mercury has us thinking about our hearts and homes, and it has us, sort of tempted, wanting to communicate about how we feel, especially with those people who live with us or that we keep close to us. But with that square aspect, a challenge comes in, and we can be a little bit moody and judgmental at this time. So the advice that I received when I was reflecting on this was to focus on our own stuff, those things that we feel moody about. Sometimes we project them onto other people, but it's really something that we're upset with ourselves about often. So focus on your own stuff and let the other people around you off of the hook. It's just a 2-hour aspect. It happens early in the morning. Let's not get this day off to a bad start for everybody, okay? And then later in the morning at 9:21 a.m., the moon makes a square with Pluto. So we've got a pretty challenging morning on board for us, 6:40, 7:40, 8:40. So just after this one goes out, this one comes into effect. Moon conjunct Pluto, moon in aspect with Pluto tends to get us really in touch with the depths of our emotions and our intuitions. We might recall something that we had not recalled before, or some old hurt might be coming to our heart and mind. We might be intuiting something or encountering some deep understanding or knowledge that we didn't have before. And this can bring about with the challenging aspect, sort of an urge to break things, right? So just some sense of like real frustration and perhaps even anger. And, instead of breaking things, instead of expressing anger, I really advise to lean on your intuitive practices. So, those things need to find expression. That hurt feeling that you have, or that deep recall that you have that gives you a challenge and makes you want to break things, journal it, draw it, find a way to express the rage inside that, is helpful to you and not harmful to the people around you, because again, this is your heart and home. And then this evening at 4:52 p.m., the moon makes ingress to Taurus. So again, this is a time to stop and appreciate what you have. Enjoy being at home or in a safe place that feels like home to you. Get comfortable for a couple of days, and again, put your ideas and your intentions toward planning what it's going to look like when you've met your goals and met your goals, and I want to say incentives. So Perhaps we'll find some incentive in this, but your intentions. Okay, moving from the moon side of the page to the sun side of the page in the ongoing column through the 12th of February. So just about 6 more days. This is our week in review of Mercury conjunct Pluto. Most of Mercury conjunct Pluto was with Mercury in retrograde, and now Mercury is direct. It's still like sort of in the shadow of that Mercury retrograde, so we may still be seeing some shakeups in our communication. We may still be feeling the after effects of some of the issues that came up for us with our thoughts, plans, communications, our ability to move around. But really, this just, especially with Mercury direct, that's a more positive way to go. This is depth and intensity with our understanding, our ability to cogitate our thoughts, plans, and communications. And the guidance I was given about this was to use this depth and intensity of understanding that we have gained here, okay, because these are amplified on each other with that conjunct aspect, to manage our resources wisely. And by resources, I mean like our time and our money and our stuff. If you've got laundry piled up, it's time to do it. If you've got dishes piled up, it's time to do it. Manage those resources wisely. Take this time in Taurus to really put your home in order and put your things in order. That's a positive use of this time. But also, since we're in the week in review, just take a look back on how it's gone for you, because we've really been undergoing some transformations in the way that we approach things, in the way that we think about things and make our plans, in the way that we choose to communicate with people. So that's been a transformation, hopefully a bit of an evolution for us. And it's good to look back on it while we've got this couple of days in Taurus, and really, think about the changes that you've been through, and hopefully, potentially, very possibly for the positive, and stop and smell those roses as well. Okay, and then today at what time does that happen? 6:57 a.m. So just after the moon goes into this frustrating phase with Mercury, the Mars has shifted out of its sextile aspect with Chiron, where we were seeking to pioneer solutions, so that we could move forward, into this square aspect with Chiron. So at this point, impulsive actions can have unforeseen consequences. Okay, we are very much looking for ways, when Mars is in aspect with Chiron, we're looking for things we can do, actions we can make, forward motion on the solutions that we need, on the positive change that we require, on the healing that we have to do. And the square aspect brings in challenges. So, this is just a warning, like Mars brings in some irritability and some impulsiveness that is not always welcome or desirable when we're trying to mend our fences, either personally or with other people. So, there's always a potential when Mars is in a square aspect with Chiron that, we might be feeling some old hurt or hard feelings, and that can lead to emotional confrontations. Make the effort to resolve your differences. Okay, this is approximately a 4-day aspect, 2 to 4 days. We'll think about it for 4 days, because definitely those energies will be in effect. So if you find yourself at odds with somebody around you, whether it's somebody you keep close to or somebody in your outer life, work, social, and civic, check your impulsivity and avoid those unforeseen consequences if you can. Make the effort to mend the fence. Okay, that's it for today. As for the coming up column, on Tuesday we have the first quarter moon in Taurus, which will invite us to begin taking action on the plans that we've been making. Mars will make a trine aspect with Uranus, which is going to be like this really positive sense of initiative toward making changes. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. And then on Friday, Mercury makes its second iteration of that conjunct with Pluto. So they come back together in the sky. They drifted apart a little bit when Mercury was retrograde. And then when Mercury went direct, it started moving back toward Pluto. But they've been very close to each other this whole time. They're going to conjunct again on Friday. So we're going to feel the intensification of this intensity. And we're going to deal with that for a couple more days. And then Mercury is going to transit out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. So they will no longer be conjunct because Pluto's in Aquarius through March of next year. And I just want to come back and mention all the Saturn vibes because Saturn is very much in the house right now. So the sun is in Aquarius and Saturn is in Aquarius, and Saturn rules Aquarius. So the sun is ruled by Saturn right now. Tangentially, kind of, Taurus is ruled by Saturn right now. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn right now, which is always ruled by Saturn. Mercury is in Capricorn. Pluto is in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. There's Mercury again. There's Pluto again. And there's Taurus again. Mars is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Here we are again with Taurus, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury. So again, Saturn is very much in our hearts and minds. It's part of what we're working on right now. You know, your sense of initiative is going to be about going to work. Your thoughts, plans, and communications are going to be about getting to work. Pluto is going to be about transforming the way that we work and the structures we rely on. Aquarius is very much about transforming those structures of work and the structures that the networks we rely on. So definitely this is still all about structural integrity, both inner and outer, and our responsibility to shore up, strengthen, or replace those structures that are not, doing their part to bear the load of our existence. So that is the end of today's aspects. If you have any thoughts, comments, communications, questions, if anything comes up for you about this, please leave a comment down below. I'm open to that conversation. And, if you've made it this far, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like my video, subscribe to my channel, share this with somebody that you think it might support. Share this with somebody that you think it might resonate with. And at this point, I'm in the habit of pulling a tarot card at the end of my aspects. The tarot card that sits on the side of the page here is the Six of Swords. It represents the second 10 days of Aquarius's the sun's 30-day transit through Aquarius. So, swords, again, is very much about our thoughts, plans, and communications, and sort of the way we use them to either construct or destruct ourselves and our circumstances. And, Six of Swords, Five of Swords indicated that we were in some sort of a conflict. So Six of Swords is moving away from that conflict. And there's a bit of a sadness about this card, because sometimes moving away from conflict with other people, means that, we're pulling back from people that we cared enough about to be in conflict with them in the first place, right? So moving away from a conflict doesn't always feel great. We don't love it, but it's a positive move because we get to gain that broader perspective, and we get to give some deeper thought to how we come to our thoughts, plans, and communications, especially where it regards other people. So with that said, I'm going to just remind myself and these cards that I'm shuffling that the sun is in Aquarius, Saturn is in Aquarius, Saturn is all over the page still. We're coming to the end of this Mercury conjunct Pluto, which brought a lot of depth and intensity to our swords, our air signs, sort of thoughts, plans, and communications. We're dealing with some challenging aspects on the page today both, in the heart and home on the lunar side, and also over here with Chiron and our desire to find solutions and heal and mend defenses. So this might be a challenging day going ahead for us. But at the end of the day, we move into Taurus, which is just an invitation to really slow down and get comfortable, take a little rest, relax, and perhaps reset after all of this challenging vibe. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. Okay, we have the King of Cups. So Cups is about our emotional life, our intuitive life, what goes on in our hearts, and often in our homes as well. And the King of Cups is a person who is very emotional, very loving, often very tender, very giving from the heart, in terms of loving support. But also, this is a rational person. So they're not going to let their emotions get in the way of their ability to provide support, right? We know what we feel, and we also know what it would be smart to do. And if we don't know what it would be smart to do, it might take some reflection. But this is a person who carries a lot of logic and rationality and learning, and they take what they have learned in order to be able to rise above the turmoil of emotion and still be able to be in command and provide emotionally for the people around them. So, if that's you, then good for you. And if that's something for you to aspire to, then I encourage you to aspire to it. And I think that's all I have to say about it for now. So again, if you have any thoughts, questions, ideas that come up when you're looking at this, please leave a comment down below. My name is Melanie Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects. Thank you so much for joining me today.